Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of 10,000 Heroes. This is a solo cast, and I'm continuing on this trajectory where I started from the Teal Society, this concept of the world in which we've achieved the next level, next state of consciousness as a society. And so we're able to handle more interaction, more discord, divergent points of view, and integrate all that knowledge into the dinner party, which I promise you, I am not quite there, but I'm getting there. We're getting closer. So here's what I want to do today. I want to go between doing impossible things, like what we talked about a little bit last time with Gandhi and Martin Luther King, to breaking those down into achievable tasks, which that has to happen if we want to make impossible things possible. And then the role of accountability, and then the role of community and accountability. And that's where we're going to get to the dinner party. So there's still a few little steps, but that's the line of inquiry I want to pursue. And so stick with me if that's of interest to you. So, like I said, it starts with doing hard things, impossible things, like liberating a country from empire nonviolently, or ending racial segregation, or curing malaria, or even more personally, healing from decades of trauma, hiking up a mountain, writing a novel, or being the kind of partner or parent that we know we could be and we could be proud of. It's important the goal is impossible for you, that it's beyond your comfort zone, that the current version of you, Ankur 3.4, Jasmine 1.5, would not be able to do it. So we'll get into that more later, but for now, I want you to think about imposter syndrome, that this impossible goal should really trigger some of that imposter syndrome that most people find unpleasant, including myself. But that imposter syndrome is actually a sign. It's a symptom along the path that you're on track. Because the mind that disbelieves and doubts that you could actually do this thing is correct. For the impossible goal, you or I, we are imposters for now. And we have to be because we haven't done it yet. We haven't done it yet because we can't do it yet. And so the syndrome part is the thinking that we should already be capable and letting that slow us down, letting that should us into not starting. But the information part, the information that the imposter feeling gives us, and I encourage you to see it as a friend, humbly offering a letter, a love letter at your door, is that in order to do this, we have to transform. We have to evolve in order to do this thing that was heretofore impossible. So write the novel, climb the mountain, whatever it is, wipe out the parasite. That's something we have to grow and evolve into. So that's step one, choose the impossible goal. Step two is to break it down into chunks. So I can still remember my fourth grade class from Mr. Blaine at Noble Elementary School in San Jose, California. And there's this poster on the back wall with an elephant, cartoon elephant, and said, if you want to eat an elephant, you have to do it one bite at a time. Now, obviously, it's not a very vegetarian-friendly poster, but the metaphor, I think, is good. And for every difficult task, whether it's a personal healing journey or liberating country from empire, starts with, it's a long-term thing, it's a big project, and it starts with some small actionable items in the morning. And there's all this like planning stuff out there. We don't need to really get into that. This is about dinner parties. But this is an important step between the impossible goal and the consistent accountability part. So I'll just say, this is a thing that many people have skills in: computer programmers, plumbers, builders, caterers, chefs. It all requires taking a long, big, complex thing, breaking it down into small parts and understanding the right order. So you can do that. And if you can't, you have a friend that can. So whatever, that's easy. But the really hard part is the not getting freaked out. And that's the skill that's actually rare. There's this paralysis that happens when the goal is impossible enough, and we have trouble transitioning our focus into the small achievable thing that our caterer friend helped us figure out. So this is actually the hard part, and it requires balancing the amount of time you spend looking at the mountaintop versus you spend actually walking the trail that you are at the. Okay, so impossible goal, break it down into small chunks, and then once we have that series of small actions that leads to the impossible thing, the most important thing is consistency, right? Consistent quality work, whether it's walking or therapy or nonviolent disobedience movements or whatever it is. But the unfortunate part about consistent work is it cannot rely on inspiration and just feeling the moment, because inspiration by definition is inconsistent. And that's what makes it so great and so magical, but we don't always feel it. It's just the definition of it. So for me, and this is the part where like if you're really interested in the dinner party, this is where you want to focus. Accountability is that special sauce that leads to consistency. So accountability for me is not, you have to do this, but I owe it to myself to do this. And that feeling of I owe it to myself comes either from remembering the impossible goal and my desire for it, or a love of the actions involved, a sense of pleasure in doing them, or it can come from a desire for integrity. So there's Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements guy. The way he refers to it is being impeccable with your word, which really hits me hard. That, it just hits different people different ways. But here's the link that works for me and that I see working for other people. In our work, we do this, but also just people I admire like Gandhiji. This sense of accountability is heightened when I say what I want to do out loud in front of people that I care about. There's more accountability when it's in the framework, in the scope of this like loving community. So we can put it on this kind of ladder. At the bottom of the ladder, there's having this loose intention and not even saying it out loud to myself. And as I climb the ladder, it gets better if I actually write it down. It gets better if I make SMART goals with like precise deadlines, the whole thing. It gets even better when I have like a plan that I've written it out and I read the plan every day. All of these things increase the likelihood I'm actually going to do it. They increase my sense of accountability. And when I start saying it to other people, that's even better. But if I don't care about those people, then it has limited utility. But if I actually care, and if I say to people that are like my closest friends, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this thing that's going to be amazing. Like, I just woke up and I had this dream that I was going to open a restaurant in Brazil. We all have dreams like that, literal dreams. But then I called all of my best friends, basically. I was like, hey, I'm going to do this thing next year. I want you all to quit your jobs and move to Brazil with me. And because of that, we ended up doing the thing. So that's the key message here for me today is if I can be heard and seen by people I really care about and whose sense of self is wrapped up in my own, then those people can become just their presence, just through witnessing me, a part of my accountability. And then I can really win because then I can get that. I can draw upon that to get the consistency in the moments which I don't feel inspiration. And that's what helped me go through all those like tasks, some of which I might love, some of which I might not, to get to this long-term impossible goal that I really cared about. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it in the first place. So that's what I mean. That's where this word community really comes in. And of course, the modern social media marketing world has really done a number on the word community. And now they use it for all kinds of things. There's communities that you gotta like pay to belong to. There's communities that are just interest-based. There's communities that are identity-based. So it might just be random. But the point, outside of all of those distinctions, and this could apply equally to all of those, what I would call real community for me is when people actually care. And so the real question then becomes, how do you go from meeting random people in the hardware store or online in a Zoom meditation meeting or whatever it is, to actually caring and having this weaving, this involvement in each other's lives? That, friends, is where the dinner party comes in.
Hi everyone, this is Martin San, your producer. I just want to take a minute to thank you for listening to our show. 10,000 Heroes is brought to you by the team at Momentum Lab. Pierre does our artwork, DJ Plainview composes our theme music, and I handle all the editing and production. If you like the show, please follow it, rate it, tell all your friends about it, and write to us. That really helps us make the impact we want to make. And now, we're closing this episode with a word from our main sponsor, who also happens to be our host. Anchor.
And now a message from our sponsor, me again. 10,000 Heroes is brought to you by Momentum Lab. I normally refer to Momentum Lab as a coaching program or a goal accelerator, but it's really more like a master's degree in life. When you join Momentum Lab, we help you get crystal clear on what it is you actually want, who you want to be, what you want to do, and how you want to contribute. And then we get into all the painful details of what has been blocking you this whole time. And then we give you the knowledge, the tools, and the support you need to get there. Sometimes that's a spreadsheet, sometimes it's a mindset hack, sometimes it's a lecture, and sometimes it's a hug. Our only attachment is to your higher self. So, when you're ready to be the next version of yourself, in your business, for your family, or just for your own sense of fulfillment, drop me a line. Bye!